little bit and talk about P-TEL. The county clerk is the one that gives us the extension. They determine the money we get based on those factors I talked about. We can ask for all we want. We're only going to get what they're going to give us. And if we ask for less, they're going to give us less. So there is a sense of getting the levy right. You know, we can't operate unless we ask for it. And June is an estimate because it's necessary for us to operate and be able to do the things we do. I'm kind of going over this. Basically, you know, the P-TEL is designed to allow for limited tax extension, but it does not cap your taxes. And many people have a misconception of that. It caps what we can raise, but it doesn't cap what you pay, or it does not cap your assessments, which you've been going through in a great deal over the last few years. I want to talk about some of the things that we've had to go through as a district. In 2003, which is right after the referendum, and this is just as our rate increase came in, so it's not a skewed number, we saw 12% of our tax, our revenue base come out of state money, 5% came out of federal money, and it's shrunk to now that the state and federal equal 12%, and it's going down every year. So that has hurt our ability to raise, so the burden keeps falling on you, and it's not necessarily always the school district's fault. One of the things I want to talk about is some of the battles District 90 has done, and we're unique. We started the TIF battle. Lockhart went and fought over the Texaco refinery, and I want to explain a couple of things how TIF works. You know, this is what we lost in the late 80s when Texaco was there. This is where District 92 had 3 good operating buildings, and we were doing very well. When that closed, we got that, which is nothing. Lockhart did not annex Texaco in until about 10 years ago. Under an annexation agreement, they agreed to pay the infrastructure of that property, which is unique to property development. They decided to TIF. And how TIF works is, you see that empty property over there? That's the value we have. That's what we get our taxes on, which is basically nothing. When Lockhart builds, allows the construction, and it will happen over the next 2 years, about $100 million worth of improvements, and it's in their development plan. All that money that we would have gotten, they get. And so the taxpayers of this district loses as well as anybody's, including the high school. Because TIFs divert money. It's a shift the burden. So my tax base, which could work on our behalf, is being used for Lockhart. And it's a very easy thing for people to do. And people in the TIF districts say it's for development, but this property has been in remediation because of its pollution for the last 20 years, and they haven't been able to build anything on it. So when they start building on it, do we get any money? No, but the city of Lockhart will. And it's based on our tax base. So if we ever offer bonds, for example, if I issue $10 million of bonds because I can't take advantage of that, that raises that rate. You kind of understand where I'm coming from? I'm speaking to you guys, but I should really be speaking to you as well. I apologize. So TIF is one of the things. We fought it, and we won 30 cents on a dollar. And District 92 fronted the attorney bills in which to do that. So we are watchguards of what we do as a district.
How long is the TIF term?
25 years. This is the same thing that you're going through. We are at a 15-year low on our interest. Again, it doesn't mean anything, but if you took even $200,000 on average over the last 5 years, we've lost $1 million in revenue too, just as you are in your investments. So what do we have to do about it? We do cut budgets, and I'll talk about that, because we do see the difference, but we prepared for it. This is what we did. If you look at the last 5 years, we had some fairly increments of $400,000 to $600,000, $800,000, and certainly in 2005, we didn't have the staffing we do now, and the salaries have gone up. But in 2009, we had 15.1. In 2010, we went up 400,000, but that was with error money. Otherwise, we would have been flat. If these are actual expenditures, not budgeted, because we're always going to budget with a little cushion. So if you go back and look at the records, you're going to see that the budgets don't exactly match this. But this is how we spent. You would have seen 3 straight years of straight zero expenditure gain. And that's because we cut. And in 2011, we are 83,000 to that of 2009. What we did this year, and we did see some new money coming for the Texaco, every dollar went to our kids. We didn't make AYP by accident. Our teachers do it. They do it because we work with them on their on introducing both the adoptions, the STEM lab, of course, copies and bleachers are more management things, but all the upper staff do with kids. Or math or science. One of the new core standards, as you hear them coming out, are really into science and math, and that's where we're concentrating. So our money are going where the kids are. We spent $400,000 in technology. Last year we spent $130 on budget cuts. This year we bought it back. The year before we spent $300,000. So we will adjust our budgets to account for our expenses. We don't go over budget. We haven't gone over budget in 8 years.
And what needs to be noted is those 6.5 full-time equivalent staff members, 5 of those are personnel that we moved internally, that we recaptured under some of the certification. And we have a philosophy in this district of growing our own. The library media specialists, as well as our reading specialists and math specialists, are all individuals that we currently employ. So when you look at 6.5 new individuals, the only new people that we hired were a special ed, full-time special ed person and a half-time psych.
Going forward, another area that we continue to fight, and this is for every taxpayer in this district, is there are people that want to get out of paying their taxes. And what we will do every year, and one of the resolutions that you haven't heard about tonight, is giving our board's going to give authority to us, for our attorney to represent us on these cases. And this is Woodbine, this is Walgreens. And what will happen, and if they file their appeals, and if they win, $16, every property owner with a house of $330,000 will see an increase in their taxes. And we get more attorneys fighting us mild than we ever have. It's usually a stack about that big. They attack us on fund balances, reserves, excess levy, not doing things right, and this stuff here. You know, it's become quite an obstacle for us to operate, but that's the times in which they operate, and we understand what they're going through as well. I'm going to get through this, okay? Tax credits. Many of you say, you know, seniors, there are credits to be given. We lose $37 million last year on credits. There are exemptions both for our service people, but mostly our seniors. These are exemptions and freezes. If you took and eliminated those $37 million exemptions, every homeowner with a $300,000 house would see $166 in savings on their taxes. It's a shift of burden. No one argues that. We have no problem shifting burdens, and I don't think anybody in here, but you have to understand that everything that we do is not always our doing. Someone else changed the laws, and you're always going to pay for somebody else. Again, it's not always us that do it. One of the things that I want to point out is if one property or neighborhood is significantly underassessed, not only are they paying too little, you're paying too much. And that brings up the Citgo refinery enrollment. And this is what you're going to see. In 2008, 2009, 2010, nothing changed, very little. If you go back to year 2007, year 2008, and 2009, your property taxes were going up. There was no value gain in this refinery well over 20 years. This is what we went after. And we have won in part of it. We have collected tax money. Most of our current reserves is a portion of that money. We are not going to spend it until we know that we have it. And we'll know a little bit more about that this year.
In 2010 it went up.
Yes.
The refinery, you didn't have that on your slide. The refinery EAD went up in 2010.
Not according to our attorneys.
I just gave you that.
I know, but you didn't go out 21 parcels either, so.
Did I go out to 21?
This, you know, we can debate it later.
All right.
This is what we use to argue in court at PTAL in our hearing, so I'm going to go with that.
And can I just say, we're not trying to, this wasn't, we're more or less trying to
Are you
show
telling
you
me
guys
I
this.
gave you the materials?
I know, but this isn't a
That's not
dialogue.
something I made up.
No,
I got
but what I'm
the
saying is,
assessors on it.
Vicki,
Well,
this isn't
let
a question and answer. This
let me
is trying to
clarify
explain
something.
It was
our-
reassessed in
Let me-
2010.
me finish that. If you want me to answer the
No,
question,
you don't, you know.
let me answer the question.
Sure.
That was before we went to court. It changed. What you saw was after we took them to court and it got changed in the spring, in December. This was before we went to court, and we got the numbers. So that was after,
you
so
just didn't decide.
2010 did get changed.
Okay.
And
Just
you were
make that
right.
clear. Okay.
But I'm not talking about, this is before we took them to court. I'm gonna get into why we did it. And then the 2010 was changed. And it does reflect this. In 2000, actually I got a misprint, 2002-3,